The defensive identity of this franchise is at a crossroads, and it all comes down to one position, linebacker. For decades, the mere mention of this team's defense brought to mind legends who patrolled the middle of the field with violent intent. From the legendary tenacity of Sam Mills to the tactical brilliance of Luke Kuechly, this organization has built its reputation on having the best linebackers in football. But after a few years of injury-riddled uncertainty and lackluster production, the front office has finally stopped playing around. They have made a massive, high-stakes move to change the narrative. Is this the year the middle of the defense returns to its former glory, or is this new plan destined to crumble under the weight of injury history? Let's break down the reality behind the massive offseason transformation that has everyone buzzing. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. The story begins with a desperate need for a game-changer. The front office looked at the roster, identified a gaping hole at the heart of the defense, and decided that good enough wasn't going to cut it anymore. They didn't just add a player, they brought in a legitimate star. The defensive hierarchy has been completely reset, and it centers entirely on the high-profile acquisition of Devin Lloyd. When the news broke about his 3-year, $45 million deal, with $25 million guaranteed, the league took notice. This wasn't just a budget signing, this was a statement. The coaching staff and the front office were clearly tired of watching the middle of the field turn into a soft spot for opposing offenses. By securing a player of his caliber, they have signaled that they are in win-now mode. But here is the real question: why were they so willing to open the checkbook for him when they are usually so careful with their spending? Is he truly the missing piece of the puzzle, or did they overpay for a name? Drop a name below. Who do you think is actually to blame for the lack of defensive stability over the last 2 years? Let's see if you agree with the front office's new direction. To understand why this signing is so massive, you have to look at the numbers. Last season, while playing in Jacksonville, the production was undeniable. An overall grade of 89. 1, ranking third among all qualifying linebackers in the entire league, is not a fluke. It is dominance. He wasn't just making tackles, he was influencing every phase of the game. A run defense grade of 83. 2, a pass rush grade of 82. 2, and a coverage grade of 81. 1, these aren't just statistics, they are the mark of a complete, 3-down linebacker. For a team that has struggled mightily against tight ends and has seen far too many blown assignments in coverage, these numbers are a godsend. Whether he wears the green dot on his helmet or not, he is the new leader of this defensive unit. He is the communicator, the stabilizer, and the playmaker that this franchise has been starving for. Watching him at the collegiate level, you could see the potential for this kind of trajectory. Now, he's arrived, and the expectations are reaching a fever pitch. But wait until you hear the catch, because while one position is fixed, the rest of the room is still a major question mark. The primary concern, and perhaps the most fragile part of this defense, is the development of Trevon Wallace. He is entering his 3rd year, and the pressure on him has never been higher. When he was drafted in the 3rd round out of Kentucky, the plan was never for him to be thrown into the fire immediately. He was supposed to learn, develop, and eventually take over. Instead, injury disasters forced him into a starting role long before he was ready. It has been a rough ride. We have seen the shoulder injuries, the missed games, and the inconsistencies that naturally come with a young player being pushed into a leadership role without the proper support. When the starters around him went down, the team didn't have a plan B. The stats from last season reflect that struggle, a 56. For overall grade and a run defense grade that was buried at the bottom of the league rankings at 84th out of 88 players. Those are not the numbers of a reliable starter. However, there is a glimmer of hope. His coverage grade, 64. 5, was actually a bright spot, ranking 23rd among all linebackers. So, here is the dilemma: can he stay healthy? If he can remain on the field, the presence of an elite veteran like Devin Lloyd right next to him could finally unlock his true potential. For the first time in his professional career, he won't be expected to be the guy immediately. He can play fast, play aggressive, and let the veteran leadership handle the complex communication duties. But what happens if the injury bug bites him again? The depth situation is, quite frankly, a disaster waiting to happen. Behind the two projected starters, the cupboard is looking dangerously bare. When you scan the current depth chart, you see names like Claude Sherless, Bam Martin-Scott, and a few rookie prospects. While these guys might be serviceable in a pinch or on special teams, there is a massive drop-off in talent once you move past the top two spots. If a starting linebacker goes down, the current backup plan is essentially hoping for the best. Claude Sherless has been a professional, logging over 200 special teams snaps and providing some stability, but his coverage grade of 42 is a glaring weakness that opposing quarterbacks will target every single time he is on the field. This team has built a top-heavy roster, and if the injury issues from the past 2 years continue to plague them, the entire defense could collapse just like it did in previous seasons. Is the front office comfortable with this level of risk? They didn't make a massive move to draft a high-profile backup, choosing instead to roll the dice with late-round talent. This tells us one thing: they are banking everything on the health of their starters. If they stay healthy, this unit could be a top 10 defense. If they don't, the 2026 season could be a long, painful slog through defensive mediocrity. But wait, there is a specific reason why the coaching staff is so confident despite these risks, and it involves a total change in how the organization handles its internal operations. The shift in culture here is palpable. It isn't just about drafting players or signing free agents, it's about how the entire organization aligns itself. Look at the recent draft. It wasn't just one person making the calls, it was a synchronized effort. When everyone, from the front office to the scouts, is pulling in the same direction, you get results that make sense. They aren't just filling holes, they are building a strategy. When you look at the projected 53-man roster, the numbers are tight. They have historically kept only 4 linebackers. With 2 spots locked up by the starters, the remaining 2 spots are a fight to the death in training camp. The competition is going to be intense. The young guys need to prove they can do more than just run down the field on kickoffs. They need to show that they can diagnose plays, fill gaps, and survive in passing situations. For the coaching staff, this is the ultimate test. They have the talent in the middle now. They have the star power in Devin Lloyd. They have the high-ceiling project in Trevan Wallace. Now, they need to see if they can finally keep these players on the field. The next man up mentality only works if the next man is actually capable of playing at a professional level. Right now, there is a massive question mark hovering over the backups. We are only days away from rookies and veterans reporting for camp. The countdown is on. The 2026 season is not just another year, it is a critical juncture for this team. They proved they could win the division in 2025. They proved they could hang with the best in the playoffs. Now, it is time to prove they can sustain it. The linebacker room is the heartbeat of this defense, and for the first time in a long time, the heartbeat is strong. But it is also vulnerable. As we look toward the start of camp, keep your eyes on how the defensive packages evolve. Are they going to be more aggressive? Are they going to blitz more with their newfound speed in the middle? The potential for a massive defensive turnaround is there. The question is whether they have the discipline, the luck, and the depth to see it through to January. The strategy is clear: solidify the middle, trust the starters, and pray for health. It is a dangerous game, but in the NFL, the teams that take the biggest risks are often the ones that reap the biggest rewards. The era of uncertainty is supposedly over. The era of the dominant, high-octane defense is the goal. Whether they can bridge the gap between hope and reality will be the defining story of this upcoming training camp. One thing is for certain, the days of watching the middle of the field get shredded are meant to be a thing of the past. If the new investment pays off, we are looking at the potential for a legendary resurgence. If it fails, the front office will have some very difficult questions to answer at the end of the year. But for now, the energy is high, the roster is set, and the stage is perfectly primed for a defensive masterclass. The clock is ticking. The pads will be popping before we know it. Every rep in camp, every snap in the preseason, will be a building block toward a championship-caliber season. It's time to see if the gamble was worth it. The pressure is on, the expectations are astronomical, and the entire defensive identity of this franchise rests on the shoulders of the men in that linebacker room. It is going to be an intense ride, and the outcome will dictate the trajectory of this organization for years to come. Are they ready? The fans certainly think so. The team is posturing like they believe it. And the talent is finally there to support the ambition. But in the NFL, ambition is cheap, winning is hard. And it all happens in the trenches. We will be tracking every development, every injury report, and every breakout performance as we count down the days to the season opener. The defensive puzzle is finally starting to look like a finished picture. Now, it is just a matter of executing the plan. This is the moment they have been building toward for 3 years. This is the year they find out who they really are. And honestly, it feels like they are finally ready to be something special. Stay tuned, because the developments in this position group are far from over. As training camp unfolds, we will see who claims those final spots, who steps up as the primary rotation piece, and whether the depth concerns were actually valid or just overblown speculation. The real football season is right around the corner, and the stakes could not be higher. Let's get ready for a season that could change everything for this proud franchise.